I had come back from Europe in the summer of '71 uh, when I worked as a personal assistant to Charlton Heston, who was directing a picture called Antony and Cleopatra, which was filmed in Spain with a wonderful cast of British and Spanish actors. Interesting film. And I came back when my daughter was born. My daughter was born in London in the fall of '71, and we wanted to be back with the grandparents. So from the fall of '71 until the winter of '73, '74, I was back home in New Jersey, where I had grown up, and I had formed a film company in New Jersey, and we were touring a production of Cyrano de Bergerac with yours truly playing Cyrano. And that was kind of what I was doing when my children were in their infancy, all the time trying to apply for film work. And I'd sent out hundreds of resumes. One of the places I applied to for a job was WNET PBS. There was a little ad in the New York Times, I believe it was. They were looking for an assistant to the director of programming. His name was Jack Venza. I applied for that position, and I was called in for an interview. And the day my son was born, which was February 5th, 1974, on the very day he was born, I got a letter in the mail saying that I had been hired for this job. So my son brought me a measure of good luck. And that started 4 years for me working at WNET 13, which was a terrific time to be there. I look back upon it as a golden age of dramatic television. The gentleman I started working for, Jack Venza, was the creator and the executive producer for a number of artistic series: Theater in America, Dance in America, Music in America. And we captured over those 4 years a great slice of what was going on in theater, music, and dance all across America. Theater in America, basically its mission was to record what was going on in the burgeoning National Theater. That included the theaters in New York, like the Circle Rep, the Circle in the Square, Lincoln Center, the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, Trinity Square in Rhode Island, Actors Theater of Louisville, ACT in San Francisco. I mean, the Mark Taper Forum. And most of those productions were done multi-camera, either capturing live performances on the stage or multi-camera translated into our sound stages in New York City, where it would be taped over a week. It was all multi-camera video cameras. And I was kind of mitigating with Jack Venza all the while. Now, I was an associate producer or co-producer on many of those productions. And I was mitigating to do something on film, single camera, break it down cinematically. There was a production of what we call a two-hander, a two-character play at the Manhattan Theater Club on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. It was then run by Lynn Meadows, was the artistic director, and there was a play by Gardner McKay called Sea Marks. Lovely, lovely play, very poetic. And I persuaded Jack that it could be opened up cinematically and filmed in Ireland, where the story takes place. On stage, it was just really two people with a table and chairs, and one imagined where they were. It took place in the west coast of Ireland and in Liverpool. Jack, at that point, he said, "Let's go for it." So I worked on the adaptation of the screenplay, and we went to Ireland and filmed Sea Marks in the west coast of Ireland, County Mayo, and in Dublin. That aired on PBS in '76. I think it was May '76. And then a few months later, I found a short story by Paul Gallico called Verna, USO Girl, which I thought interested me for many reasons. And I presented that to Jack, and Jack said, "Let's do it." So we got together with Albert Inorato, who was then a very successful playwright in New York City. He had done one or two things off Broadway which were successful. And Albert adapted the short story by Paul Gallico. We worked together on it, but he wrote the adaptation. and we retitled it just simply Verna USO Girl instead of just Verna. We hired Scott Rudin as our casting director, and as the world knows, he went on to make many great films as a producer. And soon he had offered the roles of Verna to Sissy Spacek and Maureen to Sally Kellerman. We had two other important leading roles. One was the young soldier, and we had open auditions for that. We saw a lot of people, and one of the people we saw right out of the Juilliard acting program was William Hurt, and we ended up casting William Hurt. That became his first film role. We then went to Germany and filmed it at Baumholder and other U.S. Army posts, where we got the cooperation of the U.S. Army, who had these old World War II tanks and other half-tracks fixed up. And we filmed in Germany in the fall of '77, and the show aired in '78. That got me an Emmy nomination for Best Director. I then was offered Hollywood Pictures, and a few of them were false starts. And one of the pictures I thought I was going to do was a Western called A Man for Deejam's Wife with Nick Nolte and Susan Sarandon. And we were actually out looking for locations for that Western. It was a terrific script. And the financing fell out in the 11th hour after I was working on it for like 6 months prep. And that was when I first learned that until you're next to the camera filming, you're not really making the movie, as every filmmaker knows and learns the hard way. So there were 2 or 3 false starts in that period when I had moved to Los Angeles in '78.